Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we are talking about the Swindled Patron Warlock. This is from MCDM's Arcadia number 9, so check that out.
Yes.
If you're new to the channel or the series, what we are going to do is go through all of the abilities gained in the subclass, and we're going to rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on how the abilities gained improve the base class.
Yup.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Sourcebook Bundle giveaway.
Or other giveaway of choice.
Sure. All that being said, let's get right into it. What do we get, Alex?
We get to break the rules with this one.
Yes.
Because we get to address Warlock's biggest pain point. When we were discussing this via phone call, I just knew somewhere in the back the tears I heard were not from Jameson's young child. They were him. The tears of joy from this addressing the Warlock's biggest pain point, additional spells. So you do have an expanding spell list to pick from.
But wait, there's more.
Just
more. Hold on.
So Alara Identified, Knock, Pass Without a Trace, Blink, Non-Detection, Arcane Eye, Freedom of Movement, Mislead, and Pass Wall, all very on point with the flavor and intention of what this is built around. You are an Eldritch Thief. The process of stealing power from your patron has allowed you to develop more material thievery techniques. At first level, you gain proficiency with the Sleight of Hand skill and with Thieves' Tools. Additionally, you gain the following benefits. Eldritch Thieves' Tools. As a bonus action, you can magic create a special set of Thieves' Tools in your hands. These tools' appearance reflect the nature of your patron. For instance, they may look like fleshy and organic if your patron is an aberration, or take the form of a unfathomably complex clockwork device if your patron is of a cryptic order of sorts. Regardless of their appearance, they function like normal Thieves' Tools, while also allowing you to use them as a spellcasting focus. While using them to disarm a trap or open a lock, you can use your Charisma modifier instead of Dexterity for the ability checks. The tools disappear if you create them again, or if they are more than 5 feet away from you for longer than 1 minute.
I will stress one cool point in the flavor text as well.
Which I hinted on. But
yes, we did. I had to point it out because it's cool. It says your patron is an entity that you have stolen power from. So the kind of the theme of this is that the patron either, was your patron and you broke the rules and kind of broke off, but you still retain some of their power. So you're kind of siphoning off of them still.
Yeah, or in the middle of contract negotiations, you figured out a way to instead of just giving him something, I'm just going to take it.
Right. So I think thought that was kind of cool that they added that little flavor bit on there, but no bonuses for flavor, not for our ratings.
Not for the scores.
Anyways,
we just like it that way.
Where things bring joy to my life.
Yeah.
At first level, mind you.
Oh.
Spell Heist.
Yes.
You learn a ritual to attempt to steal arcane knowledge from your patron. The ritual takes 8 hours. It can be performed during a long rest and sends your consciousness to your patron's realm, leaving you in a sleep-like state.
I'd very quickly side with this. I would have so much fun as a DM making this as complicated flavor-wise as possible. I would almost have a small puzzle for my Warlock player to solve in order to get as part of the deal, and I would make the DC flexible based on how quickly they solve the puzzle. They
gotta play blackjack with their patron or something.
Hit me. Yeah. Oh no, they play a level of Mario. The faster they get through it, the better the DC is adjusted. Anyway, I love this. Go ahead.
Anyways, when you begin the ritual, you choose a number of spells between 1st and 5th level that you don't know from the Warlock spell list. The chosen spells can have a total combined level that is equal to or less than half your Warlock level rounded up. At the end of the 8 hours, you need to make a Charisma check using your Eldritch Thieves' Tools. The DC for the check equals 10 plus the total combined level of the spells. On a success, the spells are added to your list of known spells until the end of your next long rest, or until you use the feature again. On a failure, you can choose one of the spells to add to your list of known spells for the same duration. However, each time you cast it, you take psychic damage equal to the spell's level, which can't be reduced in any way. I will say one thing that's cool about this too is, if you wanted to, you could just pick a bunch of 1st level spells, and since you're a Warlock, you're going to upcast them anyways, because that's how your pact magic works. So you could get more options, but they're lower level, or you could just get some bigger spell that you know that you're going to need for a specific day coming up. So I like the flexibility with that.
Yes.
Spoilers later on in the video.
Imagine that. Level 6, we get Magical Larceny. You learn to employ your Eldritch Thieves' Tools to disarm and even steal magical effects. As an action, you can choose one creature, object, or area within 5 feet of you that's affected by a spell, and make a charisma check using your Eldritch Thieves tools. If the spell was cast by a creature, the DC equals the creature's spell save DC. Otherwise, the DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, the spell ends. In addition, if you successfully end a spell on a creature, you can steal its effects for yourself. After the spell ends on the creature, you can choose to have it immediately take effect on you for the remainder of its duration. This stolen spell targets only you, even it can normally target more creatures. And if it requires concentration, you must maintain concentration on it. You can use this feature a number of times, equal to your proficiency bonus, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
So basically, you just get, obviously, one way to steal a spell, which is more situational.
Yep.
Or just a way to dispel magic, essentially.
Yes.
That's free.
Yeah, using
nice.
an ability and not the spell slot, which feels much, 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 much better for you.
Especially when you don't have many spell slots.
Correct.
Level 10, we get Eldritch Gambit. You learn the spell Counterspell, if you don't already know it, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you know.
Oh, sweet biscuits, finally.
You can cast it once without expending a spell slot.
Oh.
These guys.
Oh. They've been watching our content.
I have to pause.
They've been watching our videos.
You do regain the ability when you finish a long rest. So it is once a day, but still, I mean, you're never going to be upset about a free counterspell a day, sure. Moreover, you can bolster yourself with the non-magical energy of the spells you sabotage. Whenever you successfully end a spell with your magical larceny feature or counter a spell with counterspell, you gain temp HP equal to 1d10 plus twice the spell's level. For example, if you end or counter a third level spell, you gain 1d10 plus 6 temp HP.
Counter the fireball, 1d10 plus 6.
There you go. Take it.
And final level 14, we have Plunder Spirit. When you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you can use a reaction to steal a portion of its spirit and gain one of the following benefits. You regain a Warlock spell slot.
Sure.
Fine.
Take it.
You become proficient in a saving throw that the creature was proficient in. This ability lasts until you finish a long rest. And if the creature had the innate spellcasting or spellcasting trait, you can learn a spell that the creature knew or had prepared, providing the spell is of a level that you can cast. You retain the knowledge of this spell until you finish a long rest, and it counts as a Warlock spell for you during this time. And once you use the feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest.
Right. So it is just one of the 3 that you get a day.
Correct.
But you have some versatility
Right.
with those options.
It's not only giving you a spell slot back. It's just like, well, I've already got all my spell slots. I really don't want that.
If you're fighting like a big boss, it's the end of the day, and you're like, I wish I had another 5th level spell slot.
Yep.
You kill a little minion, and you're like, okay, I'm recharged for this.
Or you don't have Dominate Monster and the thing that casts Dominate Monster, because you've only got one level 8 spell you know anyway. If you're up that high level and you're like, oh, I downed that thing, it's like, guess what I'm about to cast? Freaking Dominate Monster.
Sure.
But yes.
But yeah, those are all the abilities gained in the subclass. We'll just move on into the rating portion. First up is the roleplay asterisk, as always. Talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background, that's on you as a player. We can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios.
That's correct.
So, all that being said, you do get a great spell list expansion, but you're a warlock. But you have Spell Heist, which is great to counter that a little bit. Mm-hmm. But you do have some great options with those spells should you choose them. You also, have sleight of hand and thieves tools proficiencies. Free proficiencies are always nice to have, even though they might be a little bit more on the niche side.
Sure.
Especially with the bonus being for charisma only for disarming traps or pig locking.
Yep.
Those are going to use your charisma. You're probably not going to have super high dex. You might have it as like a second or third stat, probably more third.
Yeah.
So if you're not specifically using those for those two things, then it's a little bit more on the niche side.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind. Spell Heist is great if you just want to grab a bunch of low-level RP spells.
Yeah, especially if you knew, like, okay, we know the next day we're going to be involved in is going to be, very much RP heavy.
Yeah, and it is going to be a little limited though as well because you can only pick so many, and you have to make the check.
Yep.
Which isn't going to be too bad of a DC.
No.
But there is a chance you fail it. The good part of that is you at least get one
yes.
spell. So you make sure you get that one that you really might need for this upcoming day.
Yep.
But that is nice to have flexibility in your spell slot.
Yeah.
Known spells.
Yes.
The canceling / stealing spell effects is great when it works, but again, is more on the niche side of things.
Yep.
How often are you going to need to dispel something? How often are you going to be able to steal a concentration spell?
Yep.
One, you have to run into a caster, and two, you have to,
Be within
be
5
there
feet of it.
to get
Yeah.
it stolen in the first place. So it is great when it works, but it's not going to come up probably all that much. So that being said, in the roleplay side of things, great options, but a lot of these fall more on niche circumstances.
Yep.
So we had to knock it down to a 3.5. But again, lots of great stuff for a warlock that you normally wouldn't get.
That's correct.
Just the limited uses that kind of hinder a little bit.
Yeah, the combat side of things obviously gets more potent, but still does deal with the limited use or the concerns of how often it's going to be effective.
Right.
But there's just more of the choices that are useful in combat. Your Eldritch Thief thing, letting you use your Thieves tools as your spellcasting focus. Okay, fine. I mean, I guess it's helping your combat because of that. I mean, your expanded spell list is really more for RP based stuff. Almost exclusively. But I mean, I'm sure you could find a way to move. Freedom of movement. If you get
Sure.
if there's some
They can come
CC really bad, you're in some lair and everybody's getting messed with, and icy terrain and shenanigans, you would have something. But are you going to take that? Probably not, unless you know ahead of time it's going to be a thing. Your spell heist thing obviously is going to help your combat as well because it allows you to take some other spells. Because you're very limited on both spells known and spells able to cast. So having more choices so you can have the right tool on hand is never a bad thing. And the penalty for even if you whiff is you're still going to get something.
Right.
And in the taking the psychic damage to the spell's level, if you're grabbing like a 3rd level spell as your one thing, you take 3 damage when you do the thing.
Sure.
That's fine. That's fine. Totally worth it. So again, get what you need and you'll be fine either way. The magical larceny thing, again, like Jameson was saying with the RP side of things, you've got to be around enemy spellcasters for this to really take effect. But otherwise, it's fantastic because not only do you have a way to dispel magic using a feature, you have a way to spell steal using this feature, giving yourself a buff. So, you're just dreaming that some enemy has cast haste on an ally, and you're like, give me a hug. Come give me a hug. I want that.
I'll take it.
I take. It belongs to me now. When you get to level 10 and get your Eldritch Gambit, the fact that you get to learn the counterspell spell, there's no better way to say that, I'm sorry, that it doesn't count against the number of spells great, because, warlock limitations and such. And you can cast it once without expending a spell slot. Even better, because your warlock and limitations are known. Great. And then the fact that you get additional effect on top of that, where either counterspell or your magical larceny, where you're ending or stealing spell effects, give you a little temp HP. Cool. It's not a ton of temp HP. Doesn't cost you anything extra to get temp HP, so it's never a bad thing. It's not one of those that happens so often ends up overlapping itself. It's just a nice little extra buff for having it when you get it. So, great. And the final capstone ability at 14, again, just plays more into what you're working with because it helps you just be a little bit better. Getting a spell slot back, great. There's a choice, and the great that there are choices here.
Yeah.
So if for some reason you've knocked something down and you really want to use the feature immediately, but you got all your spell slots, you're not like, well, can't use my feature, because that's something that really feels bad if you got a big impactful capstone that you just can't use it. That feels bad. So you have the option to take a proficiency in a saving throw, which could be great. If you, for some reason, find out that you're fighting a bunch of casters all of a sudden, and you're like, the first 3 turns are like, intelligence save, intelligence save, intelligence save. You're like, oh, I'm taking that. Because most times if somebody is attacking a consistent saving throw, they're probably proficient in that saving throw themselves. Or, worst case scenario, you could steal a constitution saving throw, which is never a bad thing for either maintaining concentration on any spell that you have, and that kind of thing. So that's great too.
Take it.
And the last thing, obviously, being able to learn a spell that you don't know and know it for the rest of the day could be great as well. Because again, you're limited to number of spells known, and with your Mystic Arcanum, you're only getting 1 spell slot of each of above level 5 anyway. Yep. So having an extra choice, because you're probably not going to know 5 level 7 spells. You're probably only going to have 1, maybe 2 at the most. So having an additional one, if you come across one you really, really like, Like if nobody in your party has teleport, you come across something that happens to have teleport on it. Hey,
Why not?
Nice thing to take. It is a once per day feature. You may think this is overpowered, but I might like to let you use one each effect once per day. Maybe that's too much, but
You guys, you just hope you have a DM like Alex. Just say that. Some are not as
well.
as forgiving.
Here's the thing, though. Like on sidebar, you're also kind of like this because
I
you
can be.
like
I can
to
be.
instead of like giving extra features and things, you like to give us busted magic items. But then
That
you're
is
like,
true.
I have messed up. Now I'm going to kill them.
Pretty much.
That's what he does.
Yes. I'm like, I really want to run these really deadly encounters, but they're just not strong enough. So I'm gonna make them feel really good about themselves before I try to kill them.
it those was like, see, they just go there and just mash like these little dudes. See, they feel great about themselves. And here's the rug, and I'm gonna pull it.
Set them up to knock them down.
Yeah, and there's all the pegs. I'm knocking
This
them down.
is the way.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, all that being said, and scoring to be had, of course, we gave it a 4 out of a possible 5 on combat because a lot of the abilities are very potent, giving you more spells, giving you free spells, built-in features that do spell-like effects that don't cost you spell slots, with the spell magic and even a spell steal, and eventually giving yourself ways to get more spell slots back or an extra saving throw proficiency or learning a spell that you already know are all things that help you be better in combat. The challenge that prevents it from being higher, obviously, is either limited use or your encounters running into spellcasters or not.
Right. On the synergy side of things is where things really shine. I mean, getting access to additional spell options, which is probably your biggest weakness as a warlock outside of the number of spell slots you have.
Yep.
So spells known are a huge thing. Spell slots are another thing.
Yep.
If you're not able to get short rests in, that is
You
really
get to address
big deal.
both of these things.
Yes, so that is great. You get Spell Heist, which is going to give you more options for spells known, even though, there's a chance of it failing, but you still get something, which is great.
Yes.
You get Counterspell, which is never bad to have someone in your party that has Counterspell, especially if you're the only one and your party doesn't have a way to get it otherwise.
Yes.
Awesome. And the bonus on top of that. You also have, free use of it, which is great. Capstone bonus is great. You can get a spell slot back if you need to in the moment, which is fantastic.
Yep.
You get some great options across the board, touching, again, some of the biggest things with Warlock's weaknesses with the spells known and spell slots. The other thing, too, it kind of was brushed under the rug a little bit with the focus with the Eldritch tools.
Yep.
Eldritch Thieves tools being as a spell focus, which, I mean, it can, depending on, campaign and DM discretion, having a focus or, regent bag can be important. So the fact that you can just always get one if you need it
Yeah.
can definitely be good, especially if you, get captured in prison or whatever, then you're like, oh,
They take all your stuff.
take all your stuff, and you're like, I can
and all of a sudden, I
make
cast spells again.
myself some magic tools.
Yes.
And then I can cast my spells. And you get lots of time in prison cells. You can short rest all the time. So yeah, that's great to have that in those kind of circumstances. So all that being said, gave it a 4.5 out of 5
And
for the synergy.
Well,
Some
again,
great bonuses to
with
your base
the
class.
comments we make with the the limitations and such, it addresses firmly the biggest problem that Warlock faces and the second biggest problem that Warlock faces with spells known and spell slots. It helps you with both of those categories and gives you some very nice potency and some interesting ways that you can be very potent in combat, especially against spellcasters.
Yeah, especially. And again, too, I mean, just being able to dispel magic can be nice, but stealing an effect can be absolutely huge.
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely some great options for here. Probably one of my top Warlock picks from our homebrew that we've done.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it touches some of the stuff that is my biggest complaints with. So it's kind of hard not to be in at least the short list.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so when all of our new videos are coming out. Check out our Patreon. We got more stuff coming from that.
Yes, we do.
And as always, guys, thanks for watching.